And I'm Senator Pete Oberacker, representing the 51st Senate District, second largest Senate district in New York, very rural in the counties that I represent. You know, one of the things, real quick, and then I'm going to turn this over to Beth Matice, who is a very articulate and well-informed constituent in the 51st. But two things I'll leave you with. You know, number one, there's a common thread that runs through this rural district, which is they say common sense. And I had a gentleman come up to me the other day and he said, you know, common sense is a flower that does not grow in the garden in Albany. And I thought that was such an appropriate term that it made me smile. And then this other visual I'll leave you with before, I introduce Beth Matice, is I would much rather try to herd 2-year-old steers that I have into a new pasture than I would ever try to wrangle a 2-year-old with a mask. And I just want to leave you with that visual. I think that basically says it all. Again, Beth is a mother. She comes from Cobleskill, of course, New York in the 51st. And I am going to turn it over to Beth and have her not only educate you, but educate me. Thanks, Beth.
Good morning. My name is Beth Matice. I'm here representing the children that are in schools, not just in the daycares. I have a 5, a 7, and a 14-year-old. So this is a little bit longer than it's supposed to be, but I cannot shoot from the hip. So I come here today with concerns for our children. It started with 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and here we are, over a year later, and still unwilling to unmask our children. Why are we not following the science? Our state, as of the most recent update on 5/22, had a 0.77% positive test rate. The United States Census Bureau reported 19.45 million people lived in New York in 2019. 1,073 positive tests on 5/22. 19.45 million people. As of the state's last update on 5/22/21, Schoharie County, which is home to our CRCS district, had 0 positive cases out of 64 tests in a county that is home to more than 31,000 people. Let that sink in. 31,000 people, 0 positive test results. Please do the math. The fear-mongering is unrealistic and deceptive. We are forcing our children to wear masks all day long, both inside and out. 5, 6, 7 hours a day, our children are wearing masks in temperatures that often reach 80 degrees or higher this time of year in upstate New York. Many in schools that do not have adequate cooling system. Has the governor ever sat in a 3rd floor room when it is 85 degrees out, or ran around on a playground for 30 minutes with a mask on his face and his mouth and nose? Likely not. Those who write and enforce these unrealistic mandates tend to do so from their air-conditioned office, and I'm willing to bet without a mask on. We as a community are failing. We are failing our children every day we send them to school with a mask on. They cannot openly talk to their friends. They cannot see expressions and emotion. They cannot see their teachers' smiles or their friends' smiles. And this is a subject that is near to my heart, as my 2 youngest children are profoundly deaf and rely on lip reading and facial expressions to communicate. Most importantly, they're not able to breathe the fresh air, a God-given right they have. We know from years of research the physiological and psychological burdens mask wearing can cause in children. During April to October 2020 in the US, emergency room visits linked to mental health problems such as anxiety for children aged 5 to 11 increased by nearly 25% and increased by 31% for those aged 12 to 17 years old as compared to the same period in 2019. Every day in our school, children are being scolded for not following the protocols, the COVID rules. Their masks are below their nose. Their drink is taking them too long. It is not time for a mask break. You are walking the wrong way in the hallway. You're too close to each other. The list of failures to our children grows longer and longer every day. These masks have become so politicized that it is preventing rational consideration of the evidence. The science is there. There have been hundreds of mask studies related to influenza transmission over several decades. It is a well-established fact that masks do not stop viruses. The wording on the box of masks that my children frequently wear to school states masks can filter certain contaminants, but they do not eliminate the risk of illness or infection. It also states a recommended use time for 4 hours or less. We know that in most cases, children are wearing their masks multiple times, touching them, dropping them on the floor, sharing them, etc. Surgical masks are for use in a controlled setting, like doctor's offices, surgical rooms, etc., where the user is specifically trained on the correct use and handling of a mask. Having trained as an LPN, I know firsthand the proper use and handling of these masks. And we all know our children are more concerned with being a kid than if they are properly taking off a contaminated mask. Right on the CDC website, they proclaim surgical masks do not catch all harmful particles and smoke, yet we make our children wear masks all day long. The size of a smoke particle is approximately 0.5 microns, which is 5 times the size of the SARS-CoV-2 virus. New York State and the schools mandating the use of face masks on children 2 and above are willfully ignoring established science and willingly entering every school district, daycare facility, and day camps into a clinical trial. The state mandate to wear a mask for viral transmission prevention is for emergency use only. Emergency use authorization by the FDA means the products are investigation and experimental only. Children have repeatedly been shown to not be drivers of this contagion. Children have a statistically 0% chance of dying from COVID. The CDC site states the K through 12 mortality rate with or with COVID is 0.00003. In the 2017-2018 flu season, the CDC estimates the actual number of childhood deaths to be close to 600 children, a far more communicable and deadly virus in this age group, yet we did not mandate masks. I cannot understand the mandates when the people most at risk have now had the opportunity to be vaccinated. I do not understand the positive outcome of masking our children when those at greatest risk are now protected. When will we follow the lead of the other states such as Florida, Texas, and Iowa? These states have lifted their face masks with no consequence to infection rates. We as parents have a right to refuse the use of masks on our children, especially in the case of something that is even fully FDA approved. The governor has abused his emergency powers for far too long. His mandates are a gross overreach of power. We ask that our elected officials fulfill the oath they took to defend the Constitution of the United States of America. Parents' rights to refuse an experimental practice are being hindered by unethical mandates. We are asking that our voices be heard, that our children's voices be heard. Let this decision to wear a mask be made within each family. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today.